Welcome back to Cooking in the Shop with Mark. Today, we're going to do our best to fix an intermittent problem on a 2015 Chevy Traverse. Right now you're looking at the engine compartment and the air duct that goes between the air cleaner and the throttle body. This air duct has got one hose and two clamps that attach it to the car. All you got to do is back the two clamps off and twist it to break it loose. Squeeze it together and pull it off. The big black plastic thing on the back right there by the master cylinder cap is just a sound deadener, and that's where it stops right there. It's not attached to anything. So there's no problem pulling all that out once you compress it and get it out of there. We use as many original equipment parts as we can, and I always like to use original equipment parts on throttle bodies. This is the part number we used on this particular car. This is the inlet of the new throttle body, and this is the outlet, the engine side of the new throttle body. After you've removed the air duct and the one hose, to get the throttle body off, you've got to disconnect one connector and take out 4 bolts. You've got to push that red lock out and then push the connector and wiggle it around a little bit because sometimes they're stuck. Chris is going to take those 4 bolts out and then remove the throttle body. We didn't have much to go on to make the decision to replace the throttle body, and I know the bore in that throttle body is a little dirty, but when we checked the operation of it, it had a little glitch when it was opening and closing, so that kind of cinched it for us. Now that he's got the old throttle body off, after he gets the seal clean, he's going to take some aviation Permatex and coat the seal. We've used this for a long time. It's a good product, it's inexpensive, and it works. After he makes sure the sealing surface on the new throttle body is clean, he's going to put it up there and start all the bolts and then tighten them up. It's really important for those of you who don't do this very often. You need to put in all the bolts before you tighten up any of them. So after he screws them in by hand, he's going to tighten them up with his Milwaukee cordless ratchet. As jobs go, this isn't a very hard job. But the difference between us doing a lot of things and the customer doing something is the amount of things that get screwed up. That's a plastic intake manifold, and it's got steel inserts that those bolts are going into, and you don't want to tighten them up too tight, and you don't want to cross-thread them. If you do, it makes this job a whole lot more expensive if you have to have it towed up here for us to do it. The problem with this car was it died 3 times in a period of about 3 weeks. And it didn't have a code that indicated the throttle body was bad, but they don't hardly ever have a code that indicates the throttle body's bad in our experience. So we're just going to try this rather than look for a bunch of stuff we might not find. Chris is putting the duct back on it. He's going to hook the little hose back up and tighten the clamps. He's already hooked the connector back up and pushed the red lock in it so it locks it in place. So all that's left to do now is clear the codes, start it up, run it, see how it runs, and give it back to the customer and let him drive it. That's the best we can do sometimes. And most of the time it turns out pretty good. Thanks for watching.